and it's a lot to listen and take in because a lot of people think that when you open a restaurant, you just figure out what kind of food you can cook and find somebody to cook it and then you go.
All right, so we're gonna start off, we'll tell you a little bit about how I got my start, how Kate got her start. So I was in the same shoes you guys were. I was in Votech in high school. I had the opportunity to, and take this as an opportunity to learn, the fundamentals, learn how to make a basic vinaigrette. You guys know your 5 mother sauces, how to make basic desserts, any basic technique. Take that opportunity now to really master all the basics, because once you get into the real world, then if you have the basic technique to make a vinaigrette, then you can use champagne vin, make 3-to-1 ratio with your Dijon as emulsifier. Then you can make your different vinaigrettes, and you learn a creme brulee, then you can learn a different creme brulee mix. You can do a pumpkin creme brulee, you can do a Bailey's creme brulee, whatever. So the point is that really take advantage of the class and learning the fundamentals, because then when you walk into a job and the chef says, okay, go make me a bechamel sauce, you already know, okay, I can make a bechamel. So I was very fortunate, but what really helped me was when I just looked today, the Food Network has been out 32 years. So I'm 45, when I was 13, I remember when the Food Network came out. Emeril Lagasse's very first show, he had a full head of hair. It doesn't look a bit like him. It was a very low budget show. It was called How to Boil Water. But I was glued to the cooking channel, and I don't know why. I don't know why I was glued to it. But then I had the opportunity in high school, because I wasn't a very good student. They wanted me to go off to Votech. So I already had some of the fundamentals from watching the Food Network, and I turned out to be the lead in the class and was helping teach everyone. And then I became very friendly with the teacher. He would take me out. He had a little side catering business, taught me, showed me how to set up a buffet, how to put out, basic buffet. So this opportunity you guys have, you have a beautiful little kitchen to work on, practice your stuff.
It's a big kitchen. It's twice the size of all our kitchens.
Yeah. I mean, we have a kitchen half that size, and we do 100,000 a week out of one of our restaurants, a kitchen half that size, at Chad's Ford Tavern. So what we're going to cover is a little bit from beginning to end on the whole the whole restaurant journey. So once I got out of I left high school early. I called my mother. I was only working and then showing up half day for just my Votech, not going to my regular school, because I was working full time when I was 16 years old. So I had the opportunity to take a chef position at 16, 17 years old. So I said, hey, Ma, can I leave school? She said, yeah. I said, I want to be a chef. So I'm a high school dropout, which isn't good. I got my GED, but in the grand scheme of things, it gave me the ability to, really, focus on and knew that I really had to give it my all, because I didn't have anything to turn back to. That's all I've done for 30 years is work in kitchens, and I'm suffering from it. I got some neck thing that just happened a couple weeks ago from staring at my cutting board for, I work 7 14-hour days for the past 10 years. I started my first restaurant 10 years ago. I opened 12 restaurants in 10 years. So we really need to think about this business, because it's very, very grueling business. You'll be working on your birthdays, you'll be working on Christmas Eve, you'll be working on New Year's Eve. It's a very demanding business. But if you love it, like Kate and I love this business, so we feel like I don't feel like I ever worked a day in my life, to be honest. I just love it. I'll be cooking this whole weekend at the new restaurant. We have a grand opening, soft opening tomorrow, believe it or not, at at the Augustine Inn. Yeah, and here I am.
You have nothing else to do.
No, but we build a very strong team. Chefs, and so we brought some chefs from the other restaurants to open it. So and we have everything very structured. We have a recipe book. Everyone follows the recipes. We have, basic, procedures on all the food. So I'm very fortunate to have, 4 restaurants running right now while I'm standing here, So that's very fortunate, but it wasn't easy, and Kate has a lot to do with that because she deals directly with, we have 180 employees. So there's 180 people we pay, we pay $60,000 a week in payroll. We're talking, it's a big company. So that's where you can get if the sky is the limit. So do you want to speak on your experience and how much you love this business?
I love this business. So I have 2 degrees from Penn State that have nothing to do with the hospitality industry or the restaurant business. I've been in the restaurant business since I was 15. I just turned 35 this year, so coming up on 20 years in February. I went to school because I didn't want to be in the restaurant business anymore. It wasn't what I loved. It's demanding. It's a lot of hard work, and you have to love it in order to do it. And you have to surround yourself with the people who want to see you succeed and want to invest in what you're investing in and grow with you. A lot of my friends that I have now that I'm close with, we work with or also own restaurants. Because they're understanding why I can't make the birthday party. They're understanding why I can't be at Thanksgiving dinner or I show up late to a wedding, because this is what pays my bills. This is what pays 180 other people's bills, is making sure that we're successful at what we do. So I didn't want anything to do with that, so I left and went back and got some degrees from Penn State, and then I moved back to my hometown and figured I would bartend until I found somewhere to work with my degrees, and met my now husband and got sucked right back into the restaurant business. It's a whole lot different when you work for yourself. There's a lot more pressure, and there's a lot of good things, and there's a lot of harder things that come with working for yourself, but it does give you the freedom to do what you want and when you want and grow your business. But you just have to do it the smart way. It's taken us years to build the team that we have that allows for us to be at our kids' holiday parades and go on vacation occasionally, even though on vacation I still work a couple hours every day because that's what you have to do to be the business portion of it. I don't cook at all. And we tell our chefs that if I can outcook you, then you have to go back and start training again, because I only cook if we absolutely have to.
Yeah, no, she worked the grill a couple times.
Yeah, while you watch. It's a hard business, but it's a rewarding business, right? So it's always the best to be able to make somebody's day or make somebody's night with what you're doing. And I have seen somebody's entire day turn around with a really good bacon wrapped filet. Or a really good cocktail, or a really good server who knows how to pull that day to a different direction than what it is. And that's what the whole hospitality industry is about, right? Is serving people. But on the flip side, we have learned in our last 6 years of opening all these restaurants together that the industry is changing. And that's why we like it so much, because people are starting to learn that this industry is not just about having somebody serve you. It's about an entire experience. And we operate our restaurants knowing that our staff is protected. We don't tolerate customers yelling. We don't tolerate people getting upset over a steak. We have everybody cook and then cook it again, and then repeat it again, and master what they're doing, right? Because consistency is the key in this industry. And if something's wrong, we fix it, right? It's just food. It's as simple as that. It's just food.
Yeah, problems will arise. It's just a matter of how you handle the situations, and when you own a business.
We have a burst pipe on Christmas Eve. We have a gas line fail. We have power outages. And you adapt and you you overcome. But it's about, like he said, learning the fundamentals in everything, not just cooking. You know, if you want to be a chef and you want to cook for somebody else and you don't want to deal with the paperwork, that's great. That is smart. But if you want to own your own business and you want to grow your own empire, like we have started to do, you got to learn it all. You got to master it all. So there's a lot more into it than just cooking, as we've seen. I'm a bartender by trade, front of house manager by trade. Like I said, I don't like to cook, and he's not allowed behind my bar. But, you know, we make it work. It's about building the right team together.
So together we have a restaurant. Our company is called 5 Star Restaurant Group. So our company oversees the restaurants. We have four restaurants tomorrow. 4 will be open tomorrow. And then we have 3 right now that are under construction. I have a brewery, a steakhouse, and we're doing a Nashville honky-tonk style bar. So we have 3 under construction also while we stay in here. So we have our management group. Kate handles the managers at the locations to deal with Kate. So she manages the managers. Now that we're expanding even more, we're going to have another Kate that handles, we're going to divide up the restaurants to manage the managers. And then she will manage the sub-managers that manage the managers, you know? So you'll have a layer of, in case you have an issue with a manager or a manager leaves, or, you know, you got to, now that we're in this position, you have to start stacking your help. So I'm going to give you guys just some basic, you can, just a basic business plan.
Right, so owning restaurants and running and operating restaurants, you have to do things the right way, right? So the numbers are daunting when you look at the restaurant business. What is it? 70% of restaurants fail in their first year. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, it's usually like 5 to 7 years before restaurant owners see a profit out of their restaurant. We have the 3 of our restaurants that we have running right now, we've seen a profit in our first 90 days. Right, and a lot of that has to do with watching our cost, watching our construction, watching what we're ordering, watching our staff. You know, that's all. Everybody goes into a restaurant, has $1 million to spend, and they spend $900,000 on just renovating and making sure that the building looks pretty, but then they forget that they need $50,000 for their first week's salary. Payroll. Need to order, payroll. They need their first, food order, their kitchen equipment.
Liquor order, beer order, wine
order.
Part
of having a business plan in place is to look and see what you need and how you need it and how to be successful. Part of having a mentor is to teach you. There are a lot of things all the time that Phil still teaches me. Then there are things that I turn around and teach him, even though I'm 10 years less in the industry than him, because it's an ever-growing business, and you've got to really put a pen to paper to figure out what you want, how you want to do it, and if the community around you needs what you want to offer, and then you go from there.
Yeah, so the reason I gave you guys this will be your first step if you're going to acquire and open a restaurant. The first thing you want to do is get all your thoughts on paper. Now, this is a real business plan that I gave to a real bank, and we got a real $1 million to do the construction. So this has got me $1 million. It's 2
years of experience.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I had to personally guarantee it with my life insurance. They wanted a key man policy, so if I die, the bank gets paid back their $1 million because I'm operating this restaurant. But for some reason, they only care if I die. I don't know. So this will be the first step. Now, you can change this to whatever your concept is, right? So this right here is priceless.
It's your Bible.
You guys should scan this and put it in, a Google Drive file so you have it. So in 10 years from now, when you're ready to open a restaurant, you can say, okay, let me go back to this and review it. Because it covers everything, everything you want to look for, your market analysis and competition, what's in the area. You know, if you're near funeral homes, you want to go to funeral homes and advertise, you know, you do buffet lunches for funeral luncheons. You know, that's the best business in the world if you can get in the funeral luncheon business. If you're close to a hospital, that you want to go there and advertise happy hour. You know your surroundings. It just, what's up and coming. You know, why did we come to Middletown? We were in Middletown 5 years ago at this location, and we didn't see eye to eye with the partners. We were brought in by some guys that loved My Chad's Fort Tavern up in PA, and they said, hey, we have this Augustine Inn down in Delaware. Do you want to come do what you did here? So we went down, put a couple dollars in, renovated it, and opened up, and it was doing phenomenal. And then we didn't see eye to eye with the owners. They weren't doing things, they weren't treating it like a business. They were treating it like, oh yeah, I own a restaurant. We're going to let the staff drink here and do whatever they want here, and just.
It's not how it works. It's business. It's fun business, but it's not how it works. You still have to treat it like a business.
So, whatever, we got bought out, and then he failed shortly after. The next guy failed shortly after that. So it came full circle back to us. January, February.
January.
It took a couple months to put the deal together. It was tough because this guy had other foreclosed properties in Middletown that they would put liens on it.
He didn't treat it like a business. He treated it like a playground.
Yeah.
And he didn't run it appropriately. And the restaurant business isn't for everybody. So it came around full circle back to us. And
we hopped on it
this
because...
is the first time I have ever told you if you don't buy this restaurant, you'd be a fool. Usually I'm telling him stop buying restaurants.
Well, because of the growth in Middletown is why I really jumped on it.
But it's also because of
all the new homes going up and
that we already had in place. Our agreement to this, my agreement to buying into this restaurant was we have to have a general manager that we could trust that can run this because we live an hour and 10 minutes from the restaurant. We have 3 restaurants in Pennsylvania. We also have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So I have to be able to be present for our kids, which means that I have to have the right team in place to be able to run things when I can't be there. So that was our agreement, and we talked to Laura and asked her if she wanted to own a restaurant, and here we are. She starts with us tomorrow because she's got the skill set and the experience that we need, and she worked for us before. So,
do any of you want to share with them what your kitchen design project is? I think some of the ones they read could be wrong. I think there was a couple pizza businesses. There might have been. Is there anybody in here that had a food truck, or that might have been another class?
Thought of doing a food truck, but I decided instead for a family diner.
Family diner?
Yeah.
So they all have varying ideas for their kitchen project that they're working on.
Okay.
Yeah, so we want to hear about them.
Yeah.
Tell us what are your ideas? Why this? What?
Why? Mostly because I like it when people are just enjoy eating food and have enough food to eat to feel full. And that's why I didn't really want to do any fancy restaurant where they more put in time to the looks and the preparation of it. Instead, I'd rather just give out filling, tasty food.
Good comfort food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then most of the ideas can be centered around Mediterranean food.
Okay.
As part of my family's comes from Greece.
Nice.
Who else? What was your interest?
Mine was like a bar and grill.
Yeah.
So not really all about the food, but it's kind of
combo.
Kind of half and half.
All right.
And
So you're more on the restaurant side than the chef side?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. That's where I fall. I don't want to be in the kitchen. It's too hot in the kitchen. How about you, honey?
I'm doing a cafe that also serves fill-in comfort food, but also mainly focuses on sweets and stuff, desserts.
It's right up my alley. I like it. Where it's at.
Anybody else?
Who else?
They'll break out of their shell soon enough.
So then in the back of this packet, I also put a real life budget on where I came up with the and this is a real life budget that we used for for the construction of this. It's an old bank building that we are converting into a steakhouse. So the last page, your total cost is $912,000. So that can, that also gives you guys an idea of what you're getting involved with if you're building a bar. So all the things that you won't think of are there, and I broke it down in a category. So the bar, the kitchen, bathrooms. So that's very, very useful.
Chef, can you speak to, I think things that I think that they might think about is, obviously, like, you're very successful, like, for them, this kind of like higher level, like, are there people that you can give examples of in the industry that maybe started out and, hey, they started out as a busser or just a food prep and kind of worked their way up, and then eventually, once they learned the whole industry.
Both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Both of us.
So keep that in mind, like, they have to know every aspect of that the whole business in order to then be successful to manage it.
Right, so like we walk into a restaurant, right, next weekend we have an event at one of our restaurants in Pennsylvania. It's a dine and donate event where we're trying to raise money for a group that raises money to help families that have somebody suffering with cancer. We are headed into the restaurant that day. I'm bartending all day, but we have somebody who is possibly COVID positive that may not be able to work next week. So as of right now, we are trying to figure out, is everywhere else staffed so that I can have Phil come bar back for me? Because I'm gonna need somebody who can get me beer, who can get me ice, who can make basic drinks, who can do certain things. If a dishwasher calls out, I go change, or sometimes I dishwash in high heels and I come back into his kitchen while he's cooking and run down the line and steal dirty pans and dishwash. And it's all been, he has bussed tables for me. He's rolled silverware, he has changed linens, he has brought me ice, poured drinks. We don't usually let him near the host stand because the iPad is kind of complex, so he's not allowed to touch it to change reservations around. But I also have had to go into the kitchen and put 45 burgers on the grill at the same time and ask him, how do I tell what temp they're at? But you got to do what you got to do. And he usually tells me they're all the same temp, put them up in the window, they'll figure it out. Yep. I started as a counter girl at a pizza place and learned how to make pizza. And now we don't make pizza, and I'm really thankful for that because I don't like to do it. But I know the ins and outs of all of the computer systems, and then I learned how to serve tables, and then I learned how to host. And actually our friend that owns the Greek restaurant, she's the one who taught me how to host. She has a 22-table restaurant, and we never have enough room. And now I have figured out how to smash more people into a restaurant and make tables appear out of thin air because I spent 2 years working with her learning how to host. He started washing dishes, started bussing tables, and then right away went into prepping food. And then right away, where were you working that they asked you to make a sauce and it was a bagged sauce?
I was working at Perkins when I was 15 years old, and they told me to make hollandaise. So I went and got 60 egg yolks and melted down 5 pounds of butter. And I'm over there whisking eggs, drizzling my butter. And the manager guy comes over, he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm making hollandaise." He says, "No, it's powder mix. It's in dry storage." I'm like, "Oh, powdered hollandaise. Okay." So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, it's very important that you know every position in the restaurant. So like we said, if any of you guys want to come to the restaurant and learn how to work the front of the house, and then learn all the positions in the kitchen, from pantry to grill to middle to saute, to the dish pit. But it's very important that you know every single position. You have to, because who knows what tomorrow holds. If your hostess calls out, your busser calls out.
Or if a pandemic hits.
Yeah.
A pandemic hit, and all of the restaurants in our area that we know of that didn't make it through the pandemic, the owners don't have chef experience, don't have front of house experience, and they had to pay somebody to do it, but they weren't making enough money to keep things running. In our restaurant, I was able to answer the phone and take the orders and wander back and maybe cut some tomatoes and slice some onions while he was cooking. We brought one of our chefs in, and we brought my counterpart now in our restaurant group, Cassie, in, and she helped me to answer phones, pack up orders, and things like that when it started to get a little bit busier. But we are used to operating with 20 to 25 staff members on a Saturday night. And we do $18,000 to $25,000 in business on a Saturday night. But when the pandemic hit and they shut everything down, all of a sudden we were making $2,000 a night, which is not a whole lot of money when you take your food cost out. We were profiting maybe $300, $400. You know, if we had been paying staff members, we would have been losing money.
Yeah.
So the only way that we were able to make it work was I had to learn how to cook and he had to learn how to answer phones. You know, but like it's there and it's possible, and you know, it's just step by step, and it's tedious and it's long, but if it's something that you want, you got to do it. You have to learn how to do everything, because there's nothing worse than somebody telling you, well, I need you to double my salary, or I'm not coming in because of X, Y, and Z, and now you have to close your business because you don't have somebody to run that portion of your business, right? If you don't have servers, you can't serve your tables. If you don't have chefs, you can't cook your food. Unless you know how to do it all.
Well, and you guys are in a good position for that, because if you guys create your menus and you guys are the chef of the business, then you know you won't have somebody controlling you. You train them to do the job, and then one day if they quit, you step right in. You know, it's your menu, it's your recipes. You know, so you always want to be mindful that you can control your own business, so you don't have to rely on anyone. Because that's when they'll get one over on you. Oh yeah, this guy will give me.
Well, and that goes hand in
He'll
hand.
give me a raise, or else I'll tell him I'll leave. You know, if they make demands like that, you say, okay, well you can go. I'll do the job. You know, you don't want to have anybody tell you what to do in your business. When we had to do that several times over the years. Yeah.
And it's a learning process, because you also, for a while, you guys are going to be employees until you learn, until you can get somewhere. You don't want to work at a restaurant where somebody's demanding 80, 90, 100 hours out of you a week and not wanting to up your pay. You don't want to work somewhere where the owners are berating you that they are mistreating other staff members. That's not a way to do it. And that's how we've been able to build the team that we have and been successful with what we have, is because they know that if the dishwasher quits, he's going to go dishwash. He's not going to kick everybody else down to go do the dishes because he doesn't want to do the dishes. That's his favorite thing to do in the restaurants, is washing dishes.
I love it.
If there's a leak, he loves it. There's a leak in the bathroom. If there is a problem, it's me that's down on my hands and knees. We had, what was it, 2 years ago, the pipe burst on Christmas Eve, and I was 9 months pregnant and wading through 3 feet of water to go find a shutoff valve. But I'm not going to ask my staff to do that. That's not, you have to, as the owner, as the operator, you have to be able to do and willing to do everything in the restaurant so that your staff knows that you're there to support them.
Yeah, lead by example.
And they're there to support you too. And that's how we've built the team that we have today. You know, if we have a problem in one of the restaurants, we call Iggy, who's our executive chef from Chad's Ford, and she will come to any restaurant and help us with anything. Or I'll call her and say, I need 40 cheesecakes for this restaurant because they can't seem to master the cheesecake, or the oven is down or whatever. And she's like, okay, and goes in and cooks a whole lot of cheesecakes and sends them out the door. You know, it's a learning process with managing staff, and you can't be a shitty boss. Pardon my language, sorry. You can't be a bad boss. And, you know, expect people to work hard for you and come in and want to make money. You know, and that's the name of the game, right? You can love serving food, but are you going to do it for free? You know, are you maybe for family events, so you like to cook for people, but, you know, we like to cook and have people over for dinner when we have a half a day off every 6 years. We always cook on Christmas. For some reason, the only day we close the restaurants, we cook on Christmas. But, you know, it's about profit. It's about making money. That's the whole point, right, of owning a business, is to be profitable and to make money out of it. Be successful.
Any questions about that?
Any questions about anything in the restaurant business? Things that you've wanted to ask or are curious about and want to know. We've been over some barrels and stuck in some hurdles and pretty much done it all and seen, although Sebastian cutting lemons in the walk-in, that was a first for us. Have you ever had somebody take
We
a,
have a Sebastian.
we do, take a cutting board and a knife into the walk-in and was cutting his lemons in the walk-in? And he came out and said, I need you to come here. I've never in 30 years ever seen something like this. No, he just didn't feel like carrying the box of lemons out, so he figured he would just cut. I know. But in
and I carry lemons all the time.
20 years, I've never seen anybody cut anything in the walk-in, ever.
If you
So
guys have any questions about that initial part of your kitchen design project that they can answer, like if you have a question about a phase, because remember, at the end of your project, you have to present it for your capstone presentation, so now is your time if you have a question asked about that initial phase, whether it was, something about your concept that you have, or whatever what would be the first phase if they're starting a business from the ground up?
Yeah. So the first.
Yeah, I guess the business.
Yes. So the first phase is to develop exactly what you do. You want to do a diner. You got to name it, right?
Yeah.
find a location.
Find a location. You have to.
See if you want it like in a pre-made, like a building that's already going down, or see if you could just build it on.
No, that's ideal. Yeah, if you can find a business that already has the infrastructure in place, has the hood hanging, because the hood, that's 40, 50 right there, the hood. If you can find a building that has the hood and the infrastructure and everything in place, you can take it from that $912,000 to do that steakhouse to we redid Augustine for $200,000. We just did it in 3 months, because everything was already in place. So we just had to go and clean up, do a couple things. And I know 200 sounds like a lot, but it's really not.
I think of this one.
Yeah.
I think they might want to know about the ins and outs and potential pitfalls of finding a location and preparing it, cleaning it up.
Yeah.
So looking for a location, what's the first thing that we always do? We look for an area. All right, we have a concept. Right now, our tavern concept we can kind of take everywhere because it's American style comfort food, steaks, seafood. Everybody loves it. Our short rib fries, best thing on the menu. But our newest concept that we're running with, the Nashville style barbecue place, we have been thinking about it and trying to figure out where, what, and who needs it. Where do we need it? If I can go pop a bar into the middle of Middletown everywhere, but we drove past 3 on the way from Appo to here, that everybody has beer on tap. So what are we offering that's different? And do we need to change the locale? Are the people there looking for it? Up here right now, all the rage is going to Nashville for everything. Everybody wants Nashville barbecue. Everybody wants
The music.
the slushies,
Yeah.
the music, the live. That's a huge thing, but not everybody can afford to go to Nashville. So we can take this concept and we can put it into Glen Mills, where we're from, because there's nothing else around. There's a barbecue place that's where Hoods is 7 miles from
Yeah.
there, which is far enough away that it doesn't, and they don't have music, they don't have a bar, they don't have anything like that. So the first thing we do is we talk about a concept. Usually the first thing Phil does is he finds a building that he's in love with, and then he says, honey, I bought this building. And I roll my eyes and say, okay, well, what are we putting there? And he says, I don't know, but we're going to put a restaurant there. I just don't know which restaurant yet. And then you got to figure out what your target audience is. What are you good at? I am not going to go start making sushi because I don't know anything about making sushi. That's not, you have to know what you're good at. What can you bring to the table that's different from everybody else? What's your culinary talent? What is your skill set? For him, it's cooking scallops. His scallops are the best scallops you'll ever have. If you like scallops, that's Wenda. He's the one. You have to know what you're bringing. So we look for the building, but it's in an area that, okay, is our concept going to work here? It's pointless for you to put, I don't know, a sushi restaurant in the middle of where everybody only eats barbecue, but it's also pointless to put a barbecue restaurant in where nobody eats sushi. Or nobody, there's already 10 other barbecue places. Yeah. You don't want to compete with everybody else. You want to set yourself apart. So the concept comes first. We think about what we could potentially name the restaurant, what a logo could look like. That's the fun part. And then he starts wandering around and looking for a building that isn't falling into the ground, because you don't want to have to build out infrastructure.
Yeah.
ideally already is set up for a restaurant, because you already have to fill out a whole lot of paperwork to get an EIN or a tax number, to open bank accounts, to get health licenses, to get liquor licenses, to qualify for anything in the state of Pennsylvania or Delaware is a nightmare sometimes. There are steps and processes to protect you. But you want to find a building that is already a restaurant if you can, because then you don't have to take the extra 20 steps to have it transformed into a restaurant and be approved by the Board of Health and everybody around you. That we just opened the second half of Augustine, and we had to get approval from the county, from the state, and from the liquor board commissioner in order to use the other side of the dining room, because the general public can say, no, we don't want that bar here. We have to explain to them why it's okay, why we're going to do it right, and why
Yeah, in
it's not going to
Delaware.
cause problems.
Delaware, they want a public notice put out for a liquor license out in newspapers and.
So anyway, so backtracking, so we find a building. Well, he looks at 20 different buildings, looks to see which one is going to fit one within our budget. Where do we want to spend? We don't want to spend $10 million renovating a restaurant, because then you're in the hole before you even start, unless you're open to close, busy 7 days a week and making money hand over fist, which is hard to do in the beginning. You have to build your customer base. So he finds the right restaurant within the right budget with good bones. That's the biggest part.
Yeah, so in terms of if you're going to lease a property to get started, that's how I got my very first restaurant I leased 10 years ago. And I just did a little cafe. It was called Edgewood Cafe. I didn't name it something that, a sushi place. I didn't name it something Italian. I just named it Edgewood Cafe. That way on the menu, I could do anything I wanted, and I wasn't,
Restricted by.
Yeah, So Edgewood Cafe, and it turned out it was a 40-seat BYOB, so I didn't have to have a liquor license. I think I scraped up back then $30,000, $40,000. I didn't, back then I didn't have that. That was 12 years ago. But somehow I got the money together, opened this little BYOB, and it was packed from open to close every day. In fact, we were turning so many people away that I leased another building up the street, because I was making me sick that I was turning people away on a Saturday night. So I opened a taqueria up the street, and I was, the hostess would say, okay, well, we're booked here, but you can go, so I didn't want to lose the captive audience that I had. So in terms of, if you guys want to write this down, put this in your memory bank. If you're going to lease a building, that's fine. First thing, you don't want to personally guarantee it.
Ever.
Yeah, do not personally guarantee it. If they want a personal guarantee it under your LLC. Open your LLC up. Sometimes they'll let you do that if they're not, very sophisticated. They won't know that you signed as an LLC. But do not personally guarantee anything. So personal guarantee.
So you guys understand what that means when he says personal guarantee?
That means you're signing your life away.
That means I'm saying I don't have the cash to give you $600,000 right now. I don't have that. So I'm guaranteeing that my business is going to be successful. And if it's not, you can hold me to that 600,000 or 100,000 or million. Yes.
And what's the LLC?
So an LLC, so our restaurant, Chad's Ford Tavern, you have to have something called an LLC or an S Corp, or it's a legal entity for your business name, right?
It's your
So
company,
Chad's Ford
yeah.
Tavern is called 1400 OpCo LLC. The business plan you have in front of you for 30 Prime, the LLC is
Well, there's
112 West Lincoln Highway
East,
LLC,
yeah.
but we do business as, because who wants to come to a restaurant called 112 Lincoln Highway? Like, that's not, you want something that's going to catch somebody's attention. So you open your business under an LLC or an S corporation. It's usually better to do an LLC. And that gives you a federal tax EIN, which means you are now legally a business. So you can make a sale, you can make a purchase, everything can be done under your business. If you do it under your name, and you, in the food industry, if I go home and buy a bunch of steaks at Acme on the way home, go cook them and turn around and sell them, and somebody gets sick, I am personally liable because I don't have a health license, and it's illegal to do that. You have to have a business, you have to own and operate a business, and you have to be licensed through the business, not personally.
And the LLC protects you.
The LLC protects you from doing
Personal, yeah. Next thing is, if you find a building, you're going to need to renovate it a little bit. paint it, clean it up, flooring, whatever, you want to ask for a couple months up front. You know, you want to tell, look, I'll take your building. It's vacant. It's sitting here. Give me 2, 3, 4 months free. We'll start. If I was walking somewhere, I'd say, hey, give me till February. We'll start the $5,000 a month in February. I'll give you first, last security, but give me a couple months up front because I'm going to clean up your building. I'm going to put 10, 20,000 in your building, and I'm going to sign a 5-year lease. So give me some time so you don't have to start making payments, you know, right away.
You want to make money before you're making payments.
Even Augustine, I said the owner held the note for me. He's the bank. He held the mortgage. So I said to him, look, I'm not going to start making payments for a couple months. You know, so we put it in the agreement, gave me a couple months free. This way, I'm not paying that while I'm also paying renovating. You know, it's just one less bill you have to pay. So that's for leasing. If you're going to buy, you want to try to find something that's already set up for your needs. You're going to open 2 LLCs. You're going to open one that's a real estate holding company, and you're going to open an LLC that's the operating company for the restaurant. This way, if something happens on the restaurant side, they can't sue you and take the building. They can sue the restaurant side, but the real estate side will have its own LLC. And also the real estate company, the business company will pay the real estate company back the money in rent. And this way you can, for tax reasons, you can write off a lot. Another thing for when you find a building, what we do is we get a building inspection, right? You want somebody to go through and check the building, make sure that everything's okay. So you're not walking in saying, oh, the whole electric system has to be replaced. Or we get the drains scoped, which means they take a camera and go down the drains, under the underground drains, make sure nothing's collapsed underground, the pipes aren't messed up, because that's, big money to dig up the street and put new pipes in. So you want to have the ground checked. If you have a couple acres, you want to make sure that there wasn't any old oil tanks in your ground. It's called environmental. You want to have, so you want to do all your due diligence on the property. That's called due diligence, literally, when you get in a real estate deal. You want to make sure that everything is good with the property before you buy it, so that you're not upside down before you even start renovating. If you find out, the plumbing's all backed up, we got to dig up the whole front street, the roof's bad, the whole restaurant's leaking everywhere. So you want to at least have a heads up from the right people. Oh, there's an oil tank out here and gas, and then the township says, oh, you can't even open this place as a food establishment because you got an old kerosene tank in the ground. So these are all things. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff before you even start cooking. Before you even start cooking, there's a lot of things to take into account. And then on the last page of that is all the budgets. So if you went in to buy a building, that would show you, okay, I need to renovate the bathrooms, I need to build the bar, I need to, just all the costs associated with all the moving parts associated with it. But that's why we're here. We're here to help you guys through that. All right, so who has questions on the real estate end? Finding a building. Biz buy sell is a good one. If you guys just to look and see, there's tons of pizza shops. It's called Biz buy sell online. That's where I used to look before I had too many projects to handle. But any questions on finding real estate or acquiring real estate or opening it?
Have they already made their logos and that stuff, or
They have, most of them, yes.
so maybe next time you guys can share your logo, more about your ideas?
Yeah, and then I want to do some layouts. Show you guys some layouts of places that I've done, because I do my own layouts. Well, she handles the bar side, but we'll take the building and literally on graph paper draw it out, and then I give that to the architect, because architects think they know, but they don't know how a restaurant functions. Architects don't work in restaurants. They think they know, but you know, it's better to lay out your restaurant so it flows, and you tell them, okay, here it is, because they have to draw it out to submit for plans for, you know, so you can get your permits to do the renovations. That's another step, another hurdle in itself. All right, so
Would you prefer they print out some of the ones that they've been working with?
Yeah.
We'd love to see them.
Look at
yeah,
We'd
oh, that'd be
love to see
great.
them.
Most
Yeah,
of them have digital copies, some have graph paper, some have both.
yeah.
So
Yeah, we'd love to take a look at them.
maybe for next time, we'll print
So
logos.
you can have your logo and maybe just an overview of your business concept.
Yeah, maybe go through that business plan and put some ideas together. You know, answer some of those things on there, like your projected sales. What do you think you would do a day? Like just to get some ballpark numbers. Do you think, you know? So on there, I think we always go very conservatively because we don't want to lie to ourselves. So 1.3 million, I think we said year one. That is very, very conservative. That's about 30,000 a week, which is less than 5,000 a day. In reality, you know, no, it should be 3 or 4 million. But I don't want to lie to myself, and I don't want to lie to you know. So I like
Investors.
to I like to go low, and kill them with the numbers when they come in. Then go high, and we don't meet that expectation, right? Does that make sense? Because numbers don't lie. So.
And then your numbers, like if you're doing like food truck or a small cafe, are clearly gonna look different than, you know, a large scale restaurant
Yeah.
with X number, 20, 30 employees, right?
But with those numbers, we can still show you what percentage you need to stay in. If you're only doing $1 million a year, which is 20,000 a week, we can show you, okay, your payroll needs to be here. Your this is what you can spend a week in food. So I have a pro forma that I can share with you guys, and you literally plug your numbers right in, and it'll show you at the bottom what you'll net if you keep these numbers in line. So yeah, we'll definitely work on that pro forma, and the layouts.
With your logos, do you guys know what the most important part of your logo is?
Is it like the hook, the ability to like draw people's attentions?
Draw people's attention, yes, but it's more than just catching their eye as they're driving down the street.
You can read it?
Yeah, legibility.
Legibility?
It's remembering it. What about your logo is going to stand out to somebody? One, to catch their eye, but two, to also remember it, right? We went to a restaurant in Bethlehem like a year ago, and I could not tell you what the logo with Joe Papa, what the logo looked like or what the name of the restaurant was. But what I could tell you was that I loved their stone pillars that had like swirling glass lanterns outside. Remember the one that I'm talking about?
Yeah. We should do that.
They were beautiful. And I found the restaurant because I remembered what street it was on, and I got on Google Image and just wandered up and down the street until I found those lanterns sitting outside and was like, oh my gosh, this is a restaurant. But the logo, nothing. I didn't remember anything about it. So you want your logo to have something, or the name to have something that makes people think like, oh, that's what it was called. If you went to the city, this is what I remembered. This is, you know, you got to have something that is going to spark people's interest in looking and remembering. So, okay.
You'll probably want to get out before the bell rings.
Probably.
Run.
Before the last payout.
And all the buses line up and are
Okay.
ready to go.
All right, so yeah, I'll bring some more material next week. We just wanted to have an introduction and just give you the basics, so we can have somewhere to go from here. So you guys will get together, print out your logo, do a little work on the business plan, so we can see like what numbers you think you're going to do. Like if you're doing a food truck, all right, if you sell 100 sandwiches a day at $10 a sandwich, you're making 1,000, right? So if you do that, you're open 5 days a week with the food truck, you know, you're making $5,000. Just put the numbers in and we'll figure it out, what you think you'll do. And then I can help you break it down and see if it's, you know, reality or not. And we'll also print out your floor plans so we can make sure, look at them and see if they flow nice and make suggestions. What else are we doing next? floor plan.
Your U.S. Foods checklist.
Yeah,
Logo.
yeah, logos, and the pro forma. Yeah, I have that. All right. And I'll
You guys basically just invested in new restaurants with him. I hope you know.
yeah, you're all in. You guys want to open a restaurant?
We'll take our collection up. Here's our donation.
Oh, and we'll talk about finding, like if you do see a vacant building that's for lease, there's creative ways to get around it. You can say, call the guy and say, hey, I see your building's vacant. If it's set up for a restaurant, I have this concept. Here's my business plan. That's why this is important. Sit down with them. Say, look, I want to do this here. I want to do a diner here. Could we partner up and we can occupy your building? We'll go 50-50 on the business, whatever profits. Look, 50% of something's better than 50% of nothing. So if you can figure out, you got to get creative. Get creative with some of these deals, and we'll talk more about putting some creative deals together because that's what I'm good at. Oh yeah.
Do you guys have do they have their things on their Chromebook, like the presentations that they started?
Yes.
That could be something you could maybe have out next time, and that way you can kind of show what you've already done. But I think the logos would be cool. That'll give you some hands-on stuff.
Yeah, I mean whatever you guys want to do. I mean, I'm here to put your questions together. We can answer any questions you have. All right.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
we'll
guys.
see you next week.
All right.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, you're welcome.